Hey everyone, this is Tiqqle, and in this video we're going to go over the legendary for shamans, Chains of Devastation. We're going to be going over it mainly for Resto, but it can be used on Ellie and Enhance, and we will touch on that. Let's go ahead and start out with talking about the legendary itself and go on an overview of that. Then let's go through the build that I used for the Mythic that you're seeing right now. From there, we're going to go to the macro, which is the single most important thing you must know about this legendary if you're going to try to use it on a Resto Shaman. It is the most critical factor. And then lastly, we'll go over my review and my thoughts on this legendary and when it can be useful and when it probably won't be useful. Number one, what is the legendary? Well, it's called Chains of Devastation. It is technically a generic shaman legendary, which makes it every time you cast Chain Heal, it makes your Chain Lightning instant. And then your Chain Lightning, every time you cast that, it makes your Chain Heal instant. So it goes back and forth, which is an interesting interaction that we haven't really seen. I haven't seen that in any other legendary for any other class. Maybe I missed out on that, but it's pretty cool and from a damage to healing perspective. Now, obviously, this is a kind of a no-brainer for it would be useful on a Resto Shaman, but you can use it technically on an Enhance and Ellie. You're able to use this legendary across those, but Enhance it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because you need to get Maelstrom weapon stacks up. But for Ellie, you can actually cast it 4 times before you run out of mana. Now, it doesn't do as much healing as much as your Healing Surge, but it could be potentially useful in an oh-no situation. And if you really needed it in PvP, potentially to save your entire team or to heal everybody up. But I don't see that happening. But let's go ahead and jump into the build that I went for this Mythic. Now, in this Mythic, I went Unleash Life, Echo of Elements. Echo of Elements, I get 2 stacks of Riptide. Riptide was recently buffed. Healing Wave and Chain Heal were recently nerfed, just so you know. That was in the most recent build. Unleash Life, buffing certain abilities, and you'll see how we use that in this in the video. Earthen Wall Totem is very useful. Graceful Spirit for more mobility. Cloudburst, we were testing it out to see how much healing you could really get through this. And then High Tide. High Tide is actually pretty useful, especially for this build, because as you spend more mana, and this build could be potentially mana intensive, you can get a buff on your Chain Heal to make it now reduce healing and make it actually do more healing as it jumps around. So with that being said, let's go ahead and look at the soul binds really quick. The soul binds that I went, there's 2 here that are potency. Now, if you didn't know, they recently changed it, so you can only have 2 potency conduits in your soul bind tree. Soul binds are the way that you're going to get more power to your character. It's going to augment your playstyle, particularly for healers. Healers will have a very, this is actually what makes our shaman to me feel flavorful. They did get a few abilities back from the past, Mana Tide Totem, Water Shield, both of which are great, but they didn't bring back Earth Living Weapon. F in the comments if you want Earth Living Weapon. We'll get a different video about that, but that is Blizzy, come on. Now, I'm going to go over the 2 conduits that really make up this playstyle as our shaman in general for Mythics, even for raids. Number 1, using Healing Tide Totem, which is on a 3-minute cooldown, by the way, increases the healing rain healing by 160%. It actually buffs it pretty nice. You taking your 3-minute cooldown and actually getting potentially 2, maybe you can get 3 healing rains out that are buffed, which is pretty nice. This is it's kind of a cool way to get double use of a healing cooldown and make our shamans even have a better raid utility. Now, again, that's very useful for Mythics as well. If people will stack up and listen to you when you tell them to do that. And then Swirling Currents. Swirling Currents is using your Cloudburst Totem, increases the healing of your next 3 Healing Surge, Healing Surge, Healing Wave, or Riptides. And again, Riptide was recently buffed, so it is quite good. And so those are the 2 main ones. And then I have 2 other defensive ones. We can get into that later or check the description for a different video on that. But that's the build that I went. And now let's talk about the macro really quick. This is critical. If you don't use this macro, playing with this is going to be very clunky. Now, why would that be? Well, because when you Chain Lightning, you need to target an enemy. And when you Chain Heal, you have to target an ally unless you want it to Chain Heal yourself. So what this macro does is it makes it so that you can target your party, your tank, your DPS, and you can press the Chain Lightning button. That will cast Chain Lightning or use the instant cast Chain Lightning, but it will target the mob that your teammate is targeting. So it makes it so you don't have to switch off your friendly targets to actually target mobs. It allows you to just hit the targets that they're targeting without switching targets. I'm saying targets a lot, but I think you understand what I mean. The reason why this is so important is every time you have to switch targets around, you have to do that. You're not thinking about what's going on. You're not thinking about healing. You're trying to multitask, right? And that has some limitations, particularly in PvP, but even in PvE, when you're trying to keep your team alive whenever there's something going on. This macro will make this legendary playable, and it will make it so you can actually spam back and forth. So what do? You basically will cast this macro, or press the macro for Chain Lightning on your tank, is what I usually do to start with. And then you can press Chain Heal, and it will be an instant cast. Then that instant cast Chain Heal will make your next Chain Lightning instant cast. So you can switch between targeting your different team members in your party, but you never have to target a mob. You can just use this. Now, I recommend you can even use this type of a macro for Flame Shock, Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, a lot of those things. So you never have to really target the mobs. You don't really care what mob you're hitting, right? Well, you hope your teammates are hitting the right mobs and the prioritized ones in the Mythic or in the raid. But that's kind of what the macro does. And so what it allows you to do is basically teeter-totter. Instant cast Chain Heal. Instant cast Chain Lightning, instant cast Chain Heal, instant cast Chain Lightning, instant cast Chain Heal. But remember, Chain Heal, it heals the first target that it hits for the max of the heal, and then every target it bounces to, which is 3, will heal for 30% less each jump, which means you always want to be targeting the party member with the lowest health, or the one that you're trying to heal the most with your targeting, your target for the main Chain Heal hit. The rest of the splash will just happen. It's one of the reasons why I actually like this legendary quite a bit. For my overall review, I would say for Mythic Plus, it actually makes it quite entertaining to be the healer. You can Chain Lightning, Chain Heal, Chain Lightning, Chain Heal. It kind of makes it easy, but you can actually do some fun things with it. Like, for example, you can use Unleash Life between that. So you use your Chain Lightning, you casted it, now you Unleash, and now you get a big Chain Heal off. The other thing is using High Tide, you can actually get you can use Unleash and High Tide proc. You can do a lot of healing with that. Now, even though they did nerf it, Chain Heal is still going to be part of our main repertoire for our Shaman. Of course it is. We're going to also be using like all the other, everything else. But in Mythic Pluses specifically, because there's only 5 members of the party, this is pretty useful and pretty fun to use, especially because, at least for me, I love being offensive. In Mythic Pluses, I like doing damage. I like helping out my group. So this is a legendary that while at first when I didn't have the macro, it felt extremely clunky, switching tab targeting, now targeting back my teammate, now tab targeting, Chain Lightning, getting back to my teammate. It was so slow. With the macro, it actually feels so fluid that it just feels quite nice and quite fun. I mean, does it allow me to read the chat while I play? Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there are other legendaries though for Mythic Plus that could potentially be competition for this. One's the Earth Shield one, which is below 50%. The Earth Shield heals for 300% more. That one could be big if your tank is going to be taking the big hits. And so it could be a contender. There's Jonats. Jonats, every time you use Healing Surge or Healing Wave, it buffs your next Chain Heal by 10%, 10%, 10%. So you can eventually get a very meaty Chain Heal, but only one of them, and you have to cast it. So this is actually this is a pretty quick way to get healing out, kind of splash healing out and AoEing out, which is one of the reasons why I quite like it for Mythic Plus, because I think one of the things that I thought our Shaman was missing, number one is damage reduction on Earth Shield, hello. The second thing, though, is the responsiveness. If something happens to your group, you're not able to really respond in an AoE fashion, and that's something that I thought was kind of letting a little bit of a letdown. We have things like Earthen Totem, which reduces the damage taken, but not things that can kind of help people in an oh no situation. We have Ascendance, but if 3 people in my party do something or they don't interrupt a cast and it all of a sudden hits them for 50% of their health, what do I have to really respond? I can individually target them with Healing Surges. I can use a Chain Heal, I guess, but in this case, what I can actually do is I can store an instant Chain Heal for quite some time. The buff is 20 seconds. That means at the beginning of a pull, everyone's at full health, I'm spreading Riptides. I can do this at Chain Lightning, and then I can get that 20-second buff. I can start individually targeting people for heals, and then let's say something bad happens. Now I can use that instant cast Chain Heal, poop, pop, bam. I don't know what I'm saying, but that's how you're going to recover your teammate, your multiple teammates at once. Kind of like a snap reaction thing. Now, Ascendance is nice, and there is also a legendary Riptide has a chance to proc Ascendance. But in a Mythic Plus situation, you're doing things so often. You're doing pull to pull to pull to pull. I don't really. That's going to be more RNG based, or you want to get value out of a long raid encounter. Now, I do think that in a raid situation, number one, it's this one won't really be the preferred option. I think the more preferred option will be the Riptiding 4 times will give you another proc of Riptide, because Riptide was buffed quite a bit, and that will work really well with Necrolord. Their healing waves being able to be spread pretty well. So overall, my review for this legendary is actually very fun, and I actually think it's quite good if you use it kind of intelligently in Mythic Plus. I think the only other thing that will be that snap reaction cooldown to save your friends is going to be your unused trinkets for our shaman or Spirit Link, but being able to have something that you can just start popping very quickly, and especially even on the move. If I start the instant cast chain back to back to back to back, I can actually be running and chain lightning and chain healing. Now I will have to have a target and an enemy to chain lightning, so if everything is dead and I'm stuck on chain lightning, I can't actually get that next instant cast chain lightning. Sorry, chain heal. Oh my god, there's so many chains. But that's okay. That's okay. We can handle that situation. And really, it's really during the fight that you're concerned, right? So with that being said, that's all I want to do for this video. I want to thank you very much for the support on the stream and on Twitch. We've been streaming almost every day, and you guys have been amazing. We've been giving out these stickers to anyone that has been joining every day. We only have a few left, and we're going to start doing these monthly, either through my Patreon or through like an Etsy store or something, for those that are interested after the giveaways are over to pick up a sticker. But I want to just thank you guys so much again. And if you want to see anything else, let me know. We've been testing every day on stream, but I know there's a lot of people that have been asking about elemental equilibrium. I'm working on that video, but I wanted to give a little bit of love to our shamans because I love you guys, and I know there is a lot of questions about, is our shaman going to be good? Is it going to be not good? What's the deal? I mean, especially in PvP, but in PvE too, like, there needs to be some review and some voice out there. And there is some things I do think they need, like damage reduction, let's be honest, on that Earth Shield, or some type of cooldown like that, as well as, like I was mentioning, some type of reactionary, like, oh shit button for heals. So with that being said, we'll see you in the next one or on the stream. Thank you so much. If you did like the video, hit that sub button, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next one. And if you are wondering how our shaman's doing in the raid, go ahead and go to the video down below, as well as this Google Doc, where I have brought in some logs from Warcraft logs. You can actually see how good or bad Resto's doing. It's before some of the changes, but it's the best pure data. Don't trust those infographics.